Hello, hello. Welcome back to Six Strings. In today's video, I want to follow up to the video about the items that you would take when you want to purchase an acoustic guitar. You've got all those things together, you've got the song prepared that you want to play, but how do you actually choose a specific guitar for you? Today we're going to talk about the different sizes of guitars, what those guitars are typically meant for, and then just allow you to make your choice. Let's go. Alright, so the first real difference that we find with acoustic guitars is going to be their size. There are multiple different sizes of guitars, and they're different sizes because they do different things. So we're going to get a little bit closer in on each one of these. So this guitar here is the Yamaha LS6. Now, this is the smallest guitar body that I'm going to show you today. This is typically thought of as a concert size guitar, or sometimes thought of as a 000 size. And the reason for that is because of where the waist of the guitar body is, okay? If you notice in comparison to the other guitars that we're going to look at, the waist of this guitar, it is much narrower than the others. This guitar typically produces a much more treble forward sound. It's used by a lot of people for finger picking because it's so much clearer in that range. So I'm going to play it a little bit and let you hear what it sounds like. Alright, so the next guitar that we're going to take a look at is the Taylor 214E. Now, this guitar is a little bit bigger body shape than the previous one, a little bit thicker, and the waist is not quite as pronounced on the previous one. With this guitar, you're going to have a little bit more bass response, and everything is going to be a little bit more even across the total soundboard. So, this guitar will sound bigger overall, and it is considered a mid-size guitar, but I still feel as though it is one of the smaller ones that I have. So, let's take a listen. So this next guitar is also a 214, but this is a 214 CE, and that C stands for cutaway. So as you notice, you have a cutaway right here that allows you to access these frets that are further up the neck. For some people, that's going to be a really important thing. For others, it's not so much. So for me personally, I prefer one that does not have a cutaway because I think it affects the overall sound. But you can be the judge of that. Here we go. Alright, next we have a Taylor 224 CE. The reason I brought this guitar out is for two reasons. Number one, this is also a cutaway. And number two, because of what this guitar is made out of. This guitar is made out of koa. Koa is a Hawaiian hardwood. The sound from a koa guitar typically is a little bit darker overall. That's another thing that you have to think about when considering an acoustic guitar. What is the guitar actually made of? Because, again, that's another thing that affects the overall sound. So, take a listen to this one. Alright, so the next guitar that we're going to look at is this Yamaha LJ6. This is considered a mid-jumbo. So if you notice, this back portion here is a little bit more round, and it has a little bit thinner waist, but it's just larger in both of these areas. It's a little bit thicker in the body as well. So this is going to have, again, a little bit more even sound than the previous ones that we've looked at. It's going to sound bassy, it's going to sound trebly, it's going to have the middle as well. This is one of my favorite shapes, but it is very hard to find. The LJ6 is, it's just harder to find. So, let's take a listen. Alright, our next guitar is the Yamaha LL6. The LL6 is Yamaha's take on the dreadnought shape. If we compare this body to the previous ones that we've looked at, you can tell that the waist here is not nearly as defined, meaning as pinched in as the previous guitars. And then the rear portion here is going to be a little bit wider, a little bit larger than the previous ones. Has more of a sloped shoulder than the previous guitars, and it sounds like this. Alright, our next guitar is a Sigma DR41. This is what is considered the traditional dreadnought style. You see a much wider waist here, a larger rear bout, and the shoulders on this one are even more square than the previous Yamaha that we looked at. Alright, let's take a listen to this one. This guitar, unlike the other ones that we've looked at today, is much, much older. This is actually from the 1980s. So it has been seasoned for many, many years. And what I mean by that is the body of the guitar, the top of the guitar, have aged. And when a guitar ages, basically the wood itself is kind of like the pores in our skin. Over time, the pores in the wood actually open up and make the guitar sound much, much better. So that's why a guitar that is older typically sounds more open, sounds better than a guitar that is newly constructed. But nowadays, guitar companies have done a lot of different things to cut down that time a lot. And in fact, Yamaha is one of my favorite companies for the fact that they do an aging process to the top of the guitar that basically makes it sound like it's 10 years older than it is. So when you listen back through all of these different guitars, I think it's best that you listen with headphones because you're going to hear every last bit of definition in each of their sounds. And I'd like you in the comments to tell me exactly which one you think sounds the best. Now, I'm going to have a little bit of a surprise here at the end, a last guitar that most of you aren't going to expect. Alright, our bonus guitar for the day is an Alvarez ABT7. Now, there are a lot of other numbers and letters that came after that, but for the sake of my sanity, we're just going to go with that. This guitar is one of the coolest things that I've ever owned. This is actually a baritone acoustic guitar. What that means is the neck of the guitar is longer than a traditional acoustic guitar. The body of the guitar is bigger and deeper than a traditional acoustic guitar. So when I play this guitar, it's going to sound completely different than anything we've listened to today. To me, it sounds like a piano. It sounds absolutely beautiful. You also have to do chord voicings differently on this guitar because of the tuning. So if you want to play a traditional E, instead of playing a traditional E like this, that's not actually an E. An E on a baritone would be in an A shape like this. But I just want you to listen to it. Here we go. It just absolutely blows me away to hear this thing. So, if you get a chance to try one of these, just give it a go.